Hello, let's talk about the preamble of the Code of Ethics. This is the starting verbiage before we actually get into the articles that specifically draw out ethical behavior, unethical behavior in the 17, I believe, articles that are part of the Code of Ethics. This is kind of a summary of how we are getting, to the intentions of everything that's written there. And if you don't have the Code of Ethics memorized, you're probably in good company as a realtor. However, I do think knowing this preamble, there's some really key things in there that if we stick with that, I think we all would have a much better understanding with really what is contained in that document. This is the very first thing that has been very true from the very beginning of when the Code of Ethics was written, and that is the golden rule. Now, we know the golden rule is do unto others as you would have done unto you, which is great. I also have now heard of the platinum rule, which is do unto others as they would have done unto them, meaning their standards might be different than what yours are. And I think this is a really good opportunity for us as agents to explore when we're in those listing presentations or those buyer consultations, and we're working with our clients to ask those questions. What's best for you? And I think one of the big ones is right now, what is the best communication? What works best for you? I used to not like text at all, and now I text way more than I ever thought I would. And your buyers and sellers probably have a preference as well. And we need to work with that, right? If they're expecting conversations and we're always sending a text, I think at some point we're going to have unhappy clients. So it's just an example of that. Maintain and improve the standards of our calling. We have got a really big profession here. And not only are we working with legal documents, we are working with the biggest investment that most people make in their lives, correct? With that, I encourage you to do something to maintain and improve those standards. And that means that if there is a system that is broken, maybe be part of the solution so that you're seeking to find an answer. This is the part where I'm going to give a light promotion that everyone get involved with a committee or be a board member with your local board. I know several agents in the state even work as, I'm sorry, I don't know the official title, but some sort of a liaison for public officials. I know we've got maybe 2 or 3 of those happening in our state. Whatever that is that can help move the ball forward for home ownership and how we work with each other, I absolutely recommend that you get involved and get to know agents in your community. Share our common responsibility for the integrity and honor of the real estate profession. I think that one probably speaks for itself, or at least I hope that it does, that we all understand really the true meaning of being in real estate. Now, I obviously cannot see you raise your hands. This is an online class. How many of you got into the real estate business because you thought it would be easy money? How many of you got into the business because you love HGTV and going to open houses? And those things are great. Yet I think if you're renewing, you know that this carries a lot more responsibility than maybe you once thought. And sometimes those commission checks aren't as easy to come by as you thought maybe they would be. We all work really hard for them, but it takes responsibility. So let's never leave that thought. The next one is become and remain informed about issues affecting real estate. This actually is a big one to me, just because I'm again going to encourage you to participate. I know we're all very, very busy working our real estate businesses, getting deals put together, getting closings taken care of. We all have a reason that we're in this business, right? Whether it's family or to support a bigger why. Yet I do encourage you to still remain in the loop. One, this goes back to maybe holding an office, whether it's for your local board, a committee, a state or national committee that you might want to get involved in. I know that we've got a few real estate agents here in the Des Moines area that serve on city councils. I love that because they understand a lot now about how law is created and the influence they have around it. But when it comes to becoming informed about issues affecting real estate, just so you know, there are rules that come down that sometimes can really affect us. And that's why we've got a lobbyist. That's where your RPAC dollars go to as well, is we are really fighting for things that are going to help us uphold home ownership. And I know a few years ago, I heard a rumor that they were thinking about charging sales tax on our commission dollars. Oh my, that sounds kind of scary. I know a couple of years ago, there was a proposal that all new construction would have sprinklers in them, which sounds like a really, really great idea for safety. Yet at the same time, now we probably have a time of transfer report that needs to be done or an inspection. How are they maintained? How are they inspected by the fire marshal? And what does that do to the value of properties now? Builders have to spend more money, which means the average cost of a new construction home would go up. So those things right in there, I know radon, just as another example, comes up quite often as something that might become a required inspection. Please stay involved in all of those things. We actually do get emails anytime there's a big issue coming up that would affect real estate. You're either going to get an email from the Iowa Association of Realtors or one that sometimes comes directly from your broker. And sometimes even, I keep saying sometimes some of those emails come with a letter pre-drafted and the contact, and all you have to do is copy and paste that contact of your state senator and hit forward on the email. It's super, super easy. Yet I have a feeling that only about 10% of us actually open those emails. And then once we read it, I don't know how many actually take action. I don't know that to be a factual number, but I would be surprised if I'm wildly off. And yes, sometimes they come to your junk mail. So please check your junk mail. Yet there's some really good tips in there. Share your experience and expertise with others. I don't know about you as a new licensee, but did anybody have any questions? Or did we do such a fantastic job in pre-license that you just knew everything, right? I doubt it, as well as I like to think I do with my pre-license students. I know that that can't be true because you've got to get in and do it right, which creates more questions. And every deal is just a little bit different. So with that, someone answered your questions. Please be willing to share with others, especially with some of these unique things that we have happened with, maybe unique easements or getting title issues released. Some of those aren't necessarily sharing anything that's a trademark of your business, but could be really, really helpful to someone else. Identify and eliminate practices that damage the public or might discredit or bring dishonor to the real estate profession. I think sometimes these are very, very simple. It can be not having a system for communicating with your seller that if they leave the lights on for a showing, those lights will remain on until they get home. It is part of actually the pathways to professionalism, which we will be discussing here a little bit, that you leave the property as found unless something is really amiss, like maybe a door standing open or something that's unlocked or something that's leaking that you're afraid somebody doesn't know about in order to correct it. I think those are the little things that irritate all of us, right? So if we could just all be a little bit more mindful about that, I think it would go a long way in your real estate community. Next is urge exclusive representation of clients. That is, if they are working with a buyer's agent and you're representing the seller, if the buyer calls and asks you a question, what do? They might think that they're making it easier on their agent, or maybe they know that their agent's on vacation. Or I had a buyer call me one time, say, well, I didn't want to bother my agent because it's Thanksgiving weekend. Oh, but you want to bother me. So fun, right? politely just make sure that everyone understands that that's not my job. Any conversation needs to go through your agent. We wouldn't want them to miss out on any conversation, let alone we need to respect the laws of agency and the ethics around it. Refrain from taking unfair advantage of your competitors. So is there anything that you're doing that, what's the phrase? I believe it's tearing someone else's building down so that yours looks bigger. Just build a bigger building. Just build a bigger building. Anytime I hear an agent that's maybe calling a client afterwards when they didn't get a listing and saying, you made a big mistake, no one's ever gonna wanna show your house because you listed it with this other agent. No, that's a huge agency violation, but from a code of ethics perspective, not wise either. But if your opinion is sought about a competitor, or you believe a comment is necessary, make sure you offer it in an objective and professional manner. This one's tough. We all have deals that go smooth and then some that have a lot of hiccups and you are just every step of the way fighting to closing. And then everything in between, correct? Be careful what you say about each other, first of all. Second of all, make sure that's objective. I know none of us want to come clean of all the things that we maybe drop the ball on in a transaction. I'm not saying that you need to dwell on that, but I do think you need to take accountability for yourself and tell the real truth, good and the bad, if an opinion you feel really is necessary. Otherwise, I encourage you to always remember, an agent is only as good as the people that they represent. You can have the most organized agent, but if they are dealing with an agent on the other side or a client who is highly unorganized and highly unresponsive in their communication, it's going to make you look bad, right? And I've had that happen before where someone was an angel agent to work with, and the next transaction was hell on wheels, for lack of a better term. And at the end of it, come to find out, she couldn't share this at the time, I learned this later, her sellers were going through a wicked, wicked divorce, and she really was playing referee to both of them. So again, I know we have strong agents, maybe some that are weak, some that are maybe more engaged than others. Yet when it comes down to it, sometimes we're only as good as the people that we have behind us representing, which is clients, appraisers, underwriters, right? Abstractors, attorneys, processors, closers, the list goes on and on. Remember, the term realtor stands for competency, fairness, high integrity, moral conduct. Again, not everyone is a realtor. And if you're not a realtor, that's fine. I do, again, urge you to have some standards around your ethics and your business practices. Maybe it's even just a vision statement, a mission statement, a combination of both. I've heard both used. But the term realtor, by having that with the registered trademark, says you have committed to this higher standard of the code of ethics. Keep in mind that no inducement of profit or instruction from clients can justify departure from the code's duties. You got to put your client's interests above your own. I know we want the commission dollars. I know that our house payments and how we put food on the table, and your kids want food on the table, right? It's crazy. No, we need to feed our kiddos. That's a priority. And I know that we all have good ethics, but when the back's up against the wall, I know you're going to do what you've got to do to take care of your family. So my recommendation is always have more than one deal going at a time. So if one falls apart, you've got backup money. But again, there should be no inducement that would have you justify going away from your clients. That is all for my highlights for the preamble. Obviously, I stuck in the slide there real quick. We'll be coming back and doing pathways to professionalism and how we work with each other, how we work with our customers, and how we work with the public. We'll see you soon.